Hello and welcome to Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and I'm a partner with the Juice Plus company. My mission in life is to inspire healthy living around the world. And I also want people to know that life is better when they're dancing through it. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. Because we only get one body while we're here on earth and we're supposed to take care of it, but also we're supposed to live joyful, happy lives while we're here. So that's what this is all about. And what I like to do is have conversations with people who bring joy and love and light into the world, who have interesting stories to share, who I feel can impact the world in positive ways. Now, I've had the honor and privilege of meeting a whole lot of people through my life. And one of these really great individuals that I'd love to introduce to you is Grace Gilliam. And Grace is a young woman who I have known for a while, but she is just a little ray of sunshine. You see this blonde hair, right? Well, it's not just her hair, it's her whole being, and she just shines. And Grace is an aspiring comedian, but she's also a student at Webster University studying media communications and human rights. And so we might get to talk a little bit about that. But Grace, I would love for you, first of all, thank you for being here. I'd love for you to tell us, why comedy? What is it about comedy?
Well, I got into watching SNL when I was very, very little. My aunts always watched it, so I watched Saturday Night Live with my aunts, and I always loved watching Tina Fey. I thought everything about her was just great, her humor, everything. And as I got older, that kind of faded away, but later on, I kind of found it again, and I noticed how much fun they were having making people laugh. And I enjoyed that same feeling of bringing people joy and happiness and taking somebody's mind off whatever is going on for a little second. And so that is really what, I enjoy so much about it.
So how old were you when you thought, oh my gosh, this is a lot of fun. I think maybe I could do this one day for real.
I was probably like 17 or 18, and I started watching YouTube videos constantly of people doing improv comedy and people doing stand up and SNL. And I was just on my phone or my laptop all the time watching it. And I decided this is what I want to do. This is it for me. This is something that I really think I can do, and I can take on this challenge.
Well, I think that a lot of times people can address things that are going on in the world through comedy in ways that it's a little softer for people to absorb and to get different perspectives. So maybe that's how studying human rights and being involved with the comedy world kind of mesh together, because of course comedians, although they've been under fire recently for being politically incorrect and for saying the wrong things, and we could get into a whole discussion about, what is art, what is comedy, and people need to, not be so offended by so many things. Um, but, I know that there is a line, but having that human rights aspect and comedy together, what do you think about that? Because I know like on Saturday Night Live, they address things that are just, completely off the wall, but then they hit the real life controversies and human rights as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important part of comedy. I think that's something that kind of can be overlooked is, people think, oh, they're just telling jokes, silly, haha, funny. But it is really a powerful medium for sharing information and getting this information across and making light sometimes of information, playing off of it. But I think that's something I'd love to do. Anyone who knows me knows that I really have no filter. So if someone's going to say it, it'd probably be me to say it. And I think that, that's a really good like intersection of my studies and what I love, my passion. So
Okay, so I know that you said that you watched a lot of YouTube videos and improv and that kind of thing. But you also actually worked for a place in New York and you were able to work with a comedy center and you were able to do some open mic kind of performances. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I worked for the National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York, and it's a nonprofit company, and it's a comedy museum. It's interactive completely. It's the most amazing thing that I could ever, most amazing museum I've ever seen. If I could give anyone's, one place to go, it would be Jamestown, New York, to see the National Comedy Center. But the my experience there taught me a lot about event planning and coordinating things, but it also just deepened my passion for comedy. I kept seeing all of these comedians who were working so hard and doing what they loved, and I saw it paying off. I saw the people laughing and having a good time, and that was so enjoyable for me. And then I got to get up on stage myself at an open mic, and I got to feel that passion. I got to feel that spark when the joke hits just right and everyone laughs and you have that moment of just complete joy. And it's like a head rush, it's like an adrenaline rush, because it's just so, like, I did that, I made them laugh, I had the power to do that. Not that it's a power thing, but it is pretty cool to know that you can bring that much joy to somebody.
You know what? I think that's really important because, laughing actually increases your endorphins, right? And that is so good for us.
Yeah.
And, 5 minutes of belly laughing is almost as good as getting a good night's sleep in terms of health benefit. I mean, not exactly, but it is exactly the same thing in terms of making you feel better. And so, if we can reduce the amount of stressful things that are going on and building up all that cortisone and cortisol in our body, then we should be laughing a lot more and
Yeah.
smiling a lot more. I mean, how miserable is it for people who just walk around sad all the time, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so, did you feel like you were kind of in that class clown situation, or were you more of the mature comic relief in the classroom when you were in school?
Honestly, in school, I probably wasn't very funny to most people. Uh, it wasn't until I got into theater that I really found like that I could make people laugh. So when I did my first role on stage, I was Winifred, and I it's the name of the play is escaping me now, but I was the princess and the pea, basically,
Ah, right.
and I was the princess. So I had a very goofy, over the top, over dramatic role, and I got to be kind of class clowny, and that was really fun for me. But it was also fun for me to play different roles on stage that were a little bit more mature and reserved in the comedy. But I also played Dolly Parton's role in Steel Magnolias in high school. And that kind of gave me that moment to be over the top and dramatic too. And that was really fun for me. But overall, in high school, I don't think many people thought I was too funny. But um, yeah, I got most school spirit, I think.
Well, that's good. I got most school spirit when I was in high school. Yay, we're kindred spirits, but I am
Yeah.
not. I am not really too funny. If you ask my son, he thinks I'm not funny at all, but I have a lot of friends
Oh.
that think I'm hilarious. So maybe it's the age difference. I'm not sure. So like I saw you as Winifred in The Princess and the Pea, and I know that there's a lot of like very physical comic gestures and being able to do a lot of that physicality to get the laugh. And then there's the on stage open mic, just you and the mic without having that physicality. Where do you find your sweet spot?
I really like both. I like both roles, the on the stage with my mic, but I think that I can maneuver it to where I can have a little bit of that physicality. If I'm on stage with a mic and talking, I can, move the wire, or, move my body to make it more funny. But I where I really thrive is on stage with other people, where I can build off of other stories and other relationships and develop those deeper. And other people can build off me, and we have this relationship on stage, and that is where I really thrive.
That's great. Now, when I lived in Kansas City, I used to go to a place called Comedy Sports, and it was two teams of very talented comedians, and they did all different kinds of contests. I don't even know what you call it, but there were different things where they had to sing songs and they had to play out a scene, and there were all kinds of they were totally improv, and the audience would throw things out at them and they would just pick it up and go with it, like the Whose Line Is It Anyway
Yeah.
show on TV. And it was just hilarious. And I know that you said you were in something like that, so can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I was in a show called The Royal Rumble, and we all of the people in the cast of this show competed against each other. So it's basically who's the best improv in this group, who's the best improver in this group. And it was really fun. It was a good time. That was right when I had started improv. I think that I was probably a couple months into improv, at the most, and I really had very little experience. But there was something about putting myself in a position that made me uncomfortable, that made me feel so much better and bigger, and like I could do anything really. I felt invincible, um, and it gave me a good perspective, and look out on, when I'm doing improv, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to do things that aren't always going to make you feel comfortable. And I did just that, and I had a really good time. I didn't win, but it was a good time.
But you know what? That's okay, because you were there, you showed up and you did it. And this is something that I've had conversations with people about, is a lot of times you go to like these self-help personal growth things and they say, get out of your comfort zone. But when we get out of our comfort zone, we might do the thing, right, that we're uncomfortable with, and then we just go running right back into our comfort zone. So what we have to do is expand that comfort zone. And it sounds like that's what that opportunity gave you, was the chance to really expand the comfort zone. And so
Yeah.
you keep pushing those boundaries out farther and farther, and you do become invincible, and you do see that you have this gift for putting smiles on people's faces. And I remember a Facebook post that you had done that said something like, tell me what you think my profession should be if you believe that I would be living out what I was meant to do, or something like that. I don't remember
Yeah, yeah, I remember what you're
exactly how
talking
you had
about.
worded it, but I know that there were some answers, like they thought you should be a news anchor. They thought you should be in media somehow. Somebody thought you should be a drama teacher, and somebody said you should be a writer for a late night show. Now, I think that's kind of something that I would think that you would fit into really well, is that late night show
I would love it.
writing, where it's you take the day's headlines and you craft these hilarious one-liners, gotchas that really just get you. Um, do you see yourself in that kind of a role?
Yeah, I would love to just be able to write and use my creative, side of my brain, and spend late nights and hours working on something like that. But yeah, I have always seen myself, in years like in SNL, or writing for Jimmy Fallon. That would be amazing, the dream. Yeah.
That's great. So that's where you would like to see yourself, maybe in, a few years, when the world is open again and TV
Yeah.
shows are being filmed in their normal way. I mean, of course they still need really good writers, but the world is so different now. But we
Mhm.
have to hold out hope that we will get back to being able to be in the same room with people and collaborate and talk to them side by side, like right here, without separating ourselves, through a Zoom
Yeah.
process or 6 feet across the table. So Would you like to live in New York or California, or would you like to stay in the Midwest or, Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago, the second city is in Chicago, and that is one of the biggest, improv companies in the United States, and it's where many people from Saturday Night Live got their start. And I've always dreamed of, going to the second city and doing classes and performing at the second city. So Chicago would be great. New York would be amazing, but honestly, I love St. Louis too, and my heart is in St. Louis. Um, so if I stayed here and did improv here for the rest of my life, I would be completely happy.
Well, there are people in the St. Louis area that need to be smiling and laughing, so that
Of
would be
course.
good. That would be really, really good. So, while you're still a student, what have you learned that you think you're going to be able to take with you, whether it's in your media communications or human rights?
That's a good question. I've learned a lot in college, but I think a lot of what I've learned is how to keep going when things get hard. I think I've learned a lot of life lessons from college, and that you don't realize you're going to learn going in, and that you think, oh, this is going to be all academic and it's going to be great. But no, I've learned a lot of life lessons, especially from my professors. But one of the ones that I just sticks out to me the most is to keep going and keep pushing forward no matter how hard things get. And I think that I can take that into any sector of my life, and it'll apply. So yeah.
That is one thing that I think is going to be so very different for this whole group of college students, right now, because so many students are not getting that campus environment, live interaction, debate, learning about other people's lifestyles, and, because everybody's in their own little bubbles right now. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times our worldview is so diminished when we are isolated or we're in this little teeny tiny environment. And when you step out of that and you go onto a college campus, normally you would have the opportunity to experience a lot of things in a way that you've never experienced them before. And I'm not saying things that are necessarily bad, just a totally different perspective, a
Yeah.
different view on life. And that's what I think is so important about today, is that we need to find that. We need to get back to wherever we're willing to listen to other people and open our hearts and our minds and respect other people's opinions and beliefs without stepping all over them. And so I really like that you said that you can take some of these things from college, and that it's not all about academics. And
Yeah.
so I love that. What about human rights? What would you like to put your stamp on and say, this is something that I hope people know. This is what I believe in. This is what I stand for. This is what I see for the world. Hope. What do you see?
Mm. Hope for sure, but I see, my ideal world. I see a world where everyone is accepting of one another and understands the struggles that each individual goes through, and that, there are certain individuals who are going to have a harder time, and that we have to be there to support one another through those times and support each other, because that is, what will bring us up. That's what's going to, keep us together. So yeah, I would say how important it is to support people when they are struggling. And this goes for many different groups, whether it's, the Black community, LGBTQ, any, immigrants, like anything, like support the people who are having these struggles, because, they are a crucial part of our society. They make the world turn. And yeah, and I see so much hope. I see a lot of hope going forward lately. I felt more hopeful than in the past, and I just see a lot of acceptance coming in, and that's all I can ask for, is acceptance and love, um, and joy.
That is great. That is the perfect way to end this conversation, is always with joy and love and hope. And you are definitely one of those people out there spreading that through the world. And you just keep
Thank
on
you.
shining, Grace. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.